Hi, I'm James Dunn. Welcome to the Inside Network. Joining me today to discuss the next chapter for commercial property is Laurence Parisi, Head of Direct Property at Trilogy Funds Management. Laurence, welcome very much. Great pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Industrial property was once the overlooked sector of commercial property. What changed over the last decade or so to make it, first of all, come into people's view and then become a standout performer?
That really emerged through COVID. What we discovered as a nation was that industrial property is critical to the domestic economy, whether it's warehousing, distribution, and logistics. Overlaying that was the emergence and growth in e-commerce, which led to the underlying demand for industrial property, which in essence created a perfect storm for the sector. What we saw was a tremendous amount of demand, at the same time a level of undersupply given planning and construction costs, which translated into rapid rental growth and then on to yield compression. So what ultimately transpired was the emergence of industrial as a core subsector of real estate.
After the post-COVID surge in demand, rents and valuations, has industrial reset into a more attractive entry point, or are investors still paying for yesterday's optimism?
No, we've certainly passed peak optimism. As markets do, the supply side of the equation reacted, and we have seen an increase in industrial supply nationally. So what I would say today is that the market is more in line with historical averages and equilibrium. Whilst we're still seeing rental growth, it's positive. It's not growing at the same velocity as it was, but there's still a healthy level of demand. What has also transpired is yields have softened somewhat on the back of some recent interest rate rises. So we see today as a more normalised market and an attractive entry point.
Of course, Laurence, the outlook for inflation and interest rates was already uncertain, but here we are, March 2026. We've got a war in the Middle East affecting supply chains and potential economic effect, really quite worrying for all markets. So if you can look beyond that in the first place, but what is the outlook for industrial property if those macro risks don't overwhelm the picture for the rest of 2026?
Whilst we can't ignore what's happening globally and domestically, we are looking through that. Underlying demand remains robust. Supply remains in check. And whilst CPI and elevated interest costs will dampen investor flows and yield compression, we're reasonably optimistic on the outlook throughout 2026.
Beyond e-commerce, what are some of the other sectoral drivers you're seeing that could drive overall growth in the industrial property market? And what does the current supply-demand balance look like to you?
The big thematic that we're seeing at the moment is data centres, both domestically and globally. Furthermore, the automation of industrial facilities and last mile logistics. So we feel that that's the next leg of growth for the sector. The market's reacting to that, and we're seeing new supply come online, catering to the demand from the ultimate tenants. Where you need to be cautious, of course, is what's being left behind and the obsolescence within the B grade or older style industrial property.
In today's market, Laurence, what role can the industrial property asset class play in portfolios, particularly for advised clients who are nearing retirement or in retirement?
Yeah, for both clients that are nearing or in retirement, industrial property offers low volatility, defensive income streams with the opportunity for capital growth. What we would suggest is investors look for managers that have experience, well put together portfolios, good underlying tenants, and importantly, conservative capital structures.
Laurence Parisi, Head of Direct Property at Trilogy Funds Management, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.